Hey everybody, John Ramdeen with you here in studio for Fight News Now Extra. Shortly, Robin Black will join me to chat about the sport's biggest stories. Making news today, a former Strikeforce champion gets the book thrown at him, a former UFC title challenger gets community service, and two UFC veterans meet at Metamoris. Former WEC welterweight champion Nick Diaz has been suspended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission for 5 years after a failed drug test. The BJJ black belt was also forced to relinquish more than $150,000. An NSAC commissioner pointed to Diaz as a repeat offender and that the punishment fits the crime. There is proposed amendments to the rules that would have a third-time failure for marijuana a mandatory 3-year suspension, but they won't take effect till later this year. Diaz and his team are appealing the decision. Nick Diaz's teammate Jake Shields went in front of the commission during the hearings, stemming from the incident that happened at the World Series of Fighting 22 event where he faced Husamal Palhares for the 170-pound title. After repeatedly being eye-gouged by the submission ace, Shields punched the Brazilian after the bell. The NSAC was easy on the former Strikeforce champion as he will not be suspended, but he will have to do more than 50 hours of community service in the next 6 months. And finally, believe this or not, Chael Sonnen has said that he will be facing off with former UFC heavyweight champion Josh Barnett at the upcoming Metamoris event. The show is set to go down sometime in the fall, but there have been rumors that the company has not paid some of its past competitors, which could affect plans moving forward. Barnett is scheduled to take on Roy Nelson in Japan on September 26th, while Sonnen makes his World Series of Fighting broadcasting debut this Friday when the undefeated Justin Gaethje takes on Luis Palomino in a rematch, and you can catch all the action live right here on Fight Network. And I talked about Josh Barnett. We are going to get you set for that main event. Barnett taking on Roy Nelson. Our preview show goes down Saturday, September 26th at 7 p.m. Now joined by Robin Black, Nick Diaz, 5 years. This is insane, and there's no way that this is going to stick. I would imagine after appealing things, especially when the Nevada State Athletic Commission says, there are already proposed amendments to the rules, and it will be 3 years. So, and I know Nick Diaz, he has broken the rules. This has been the third failure by Diaz. He should be punished, but 5 years, give me a break. This guy is going to lose millions and millions of dollars potentially.
Absolutely everything is wrong with this. You don't even know where to start. you don't know where to start with this. Could you start maybe with the fact that you shouldn't even get a suspension for using a plant that is, not a performance enhancer? What are we, the moral police? Seriously, that's ridiculous. Do you start there? Or do you start with the fact that when WADA and the WADA accredited labs get it right and say, oh, this guy cheated, this guy took steroids, we're going to say, wow, they're never wrong. And then WADA, in this one, found him to be not failing the test on their 2 tests. The one test, the outlier, was the non-accredited lab. Yet that's the one these guys want to go with. Do we start there? Or do we start with the fact that these assholes at the Nevada State Athletic Committee came across commission, whatever, I'm pissed off. They came across with the idea that they had a vendetta for Nick Diaz, a guy who used a plant. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
They said they were insulted because the first time Nick Diaz came, and I was at the fight where he faced off with Takanori Gomi, one of the greatest fights you'll ever see. They said he stood in front of them and said, I promise, this will never, ever, ever happen again. I made a huge mistake. And then he's back in there a second time, and he's back in there a third time. They feel that this guy just shouldn't have the opportunity to make money. I just think it's insane. 5 years. When you look at the sport, and I understand the sport is changing. We're trying to figure out the best way to handle the steroid situation, the IV situation, and this marijuana situation, and everything else that surrounds mixed martial arts. I just think everybody has got to get together and start communicating.
Yeah, and listen, man, when the whole thing is, we felt embarrassed. You made us look bad. Hey, idiots, we're going to make you look bad. The whole public opinion is going to make you heads look bad, because the fact of the matter is you're taking a guy's money, you're taking away a guy's career about a plant that he enjoys smoking to relax him that is not a performance
But he broke the rules,
enhancer.
which is fair.
He broke some rules, but their motivation was, you made us look stupid. You've offended us. You've offended our egos. We look dumb. You guys are going to look very dumb, because public opinion matters today. And when Twitter is not a gauge for public opinion, but when 950 tweets say these guys are idiots, this is unfair, and one cop tweets me and says, well, we failed 3 times, the public is going to come down on these assholes, and they should, because they're dead wrong.
Now, do you think the whole purpose of saying 5 years is like, okay, closed door, we want this guy to be suspended for 2 years. How do we ensure that? Make it 5 years, they'll appeal, and then eventually we'll get it down to 2 years.
Maybe, but man, aren't you just all a little offended by the fact that the Nevada State Athletic Commission is kind of viewing themselves as the world's shittiest reality show that you can watch on Fight Pass? Aren't we all a little pissed off by that? Like, these guys are there making sure that they look and act and sound a certain way. You are not on a reality show. You are dealing with people's careers. You're out to protect athletes, not penalize them for making you look stupid on your terrible reality show that isn't really even a reality show. Fuck you guys.
What do you think? Okay, we're going to switch focus. What happens if Nick Diaz is actually suspended? If the Nevada State Athletic Commission, if this sticks and they say there's no way he's getting out of this 5 years, they're in talks with all the other commissions. There's no way he's going to be able to compete in other areas that are sanctioned. What do you expect Nick Diaz to do? Will he just retire from mixed martial arts? He's made a little bit of money. Or do you expect that he goes and fights in Southeast Asia and goes, for example, one championship?
Yeah, I mean, you see Nick Diaz competing in jiu-jitsu, but you also see him becoming a cult hero and a folk hero even more than he already is. Yeah. You know, Nick Diaz should be on the cover of High Times magazine. Yeah. You know, Nick Diaz should have his own rolling papers. That's the point that we're at with Nick Diaz. But this is dead wrong. These guys are wrong in every respect. They're wrong as leaders. They're wrong as a commission. They're wrong as human beings. And the whole idea of making it illegal to smoke marijuana. We're not the moral police. We're there to protect athletes. It is not a performance enhancer. This is dated and nonsensical.
It's interesting to know what will happen to Nick Diaz over the next couple of years. Don't go anywhere. More Fight News Now Extra is still to come.